Oh my lord. My event is now starting.
Oh shit! I'm getting all sorts of like notifications.
Yeah, I hear that. It's your thing's going bananas, dude. It's going absolutely bananas. That's okay. I gotta mute people because people are just like,
That's all right. That was Cody.
oh, okay, yeah,
I texted to him. He's painting at the moment though.
yeah. I have to turn notifications off for certain
Oh,
people because they're blowing up my
ah,
my thing,
I gotta mute the YouTube stream.
bro. All right, cool. I got
There we
the
go.
chats up. All right,
Now it's
we're live now. Yeah,
now it's the perfect fit.
there you go. It's a very happy holidays tech talk over there,
I gotta give myself a little more headspace now.
dude.
A little more lower.
I think we got it working.
There we go.
Yeah, I think we're good. Let me go ahead and post the link in the overall chat for people to hop on it and get going. Man, your phone is it's having a field day over there. Just I hear it. Just you know,
I can't miss a notification, man.
since you're in Christmas mode, I'll open a Christmas beer.
Yeah. All right.
I wasn't going to, but we're gonna do that.
Should we introduce?
Screw it. Yeah, why not? Welcome to Talking Tech, everybody.
I'm Chris with Coalition Gaming.
And I'm Chris with the channel you're watching me on, Homebrewedhero.
You're Chris with Homebrewed. Chris is Homebrewedhero.
Yeah, I am the one, the only, the majestic, the empowered.
That majestic beard.
It's getting there, dude. November was kind of nice to me. So
Well, now it's time for December.
you know what sucks though is when I started growing it, the freaking Devils lost at home. They had been undefeated at home, and then I started growing it, and they lost their first game at home. So if you're a New Jersey Devils fan, you can blame that on some kid in fucking Southern California. It's my fault.
Well, I
not
need
really
to grab
kid.
this link and jump on with Coalition real quick.
Not really a kid, but you know. Where's my
We get-
gropener?
Your gropener. That's right.
I'm trying to find it so I can open this beer. Don't hold out on me, man. Ah, I see it. Okay, yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking about a big announcement from AMD, which I think everybody's already aware, is Ryzen. Which bothers me to say that because it reminds me of rhizome when you're talking about like brewing and hops. Like it's just a weird, whatever.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like the title. However, I wish they went with Threadripper instead, but a different SKU is going to get Threadripper. Threadripper sounds cool. It brings me back to the old days of Clawhammer.
Clawhammer. Holy crap, I just realized my bottle and my glass, they're matching. Look at that. It's kind of freaking
right.
magical, dude.
Since I can't see you on Skype and stuff, I'm looking at the other thing, and there's
Hey.
a delay. You say,
Hey.
look at that, and I have to wait.
Hey, it works. It's just one of those things. I'm not going to do too many show and tells. Like if I start juggling chainsaws, you won't see until I've already cut my limbs off. So it works.
All right. So you got the breakdown. I didn't really get any notes or anything. So you start it, and we'll go.
Oh my god. Okay, so basically, I'm not a big AMD fan. That's Chris. If you watch the video about water cooling, he's more involved in the AMD happenings than I am. That being said, the announcements and everything that I saw today for it, it's pretty legit. I mean, compared to a 6900K, I think it is, right? Is that what they're
6900K. That's correct.
Yeah, it's a 6900K. You know, they were doing a Battlefield 1, a Doom test, and they didn't cheat. They didn't use Vulkan on the systems to run Doom, which
That's
is
what I thought they're gonna do too.
right, because Vulkan is an AMD API, right?
Well,
Well,
it's
kind of.
heavily AMD inspired. However, it is an agnostic API.
Okay, yeah, so they did the benchmarks. I shouldn't really say benchmarks, but they did do benchmarks. We're talking about the actual demos. The gaming demos, they didn't really seem to favor one over the other. It shows that it'll hang with $1,000 CPU that's over 2 years old. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. That
Is
6900
it over 2 years old? I
came
thought
out in
the Broadway was a little
2014.
less.
2014, and we're at the end of 2016. So by my math, that's 2 years old, and it's still $1,000 processor. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, price wise, yeah. The AMD is always aimed to hit at not at like a core count performance level, but rather a price level.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm a big fan of Intel, but I think everybody in the tech world knows that Intel processors come with a little, I don't even want to say a little bit, a very, very big impact to your wallet.
Oh yeah.
You pay a lot more per gigahertz per clock than you do on, in AMD. And really, comparatively, I don't know what the previous gen AMD stuff was. Chris, you could chime in on that. But I think the previous AMD stuff, what was the competitor, on Intel, like price-wise? Was it like $400 and you got something that's comparable to like a freaking, $700?
Previous gen still they were. I mean, it's hard to say because previous gen AMD didn't really have a competitor. But let me voice a little correction here.
Yeah.
I just checked the i7-6900K on Intel's ARC site. Launch date is Q2 16.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe for the K.
The 6900K.
Maybe 6900, the base one. Maybe not.
I don't know if there's a non-K of it.
I'm going to Google, dude, because I'm pretty sure the 6900. Hang on, let me check.
Yeah. Oh, there is it. No, there isn't. It's
Yeah,
a 6950X and 6900K. Q2 16.
I'm checking it, dude. I'm checking it. Let me see here. I'm pretty sure it's a 2-year-old processor. Oh, maybe not. Well, shit. I could have sworn it was older than that, but whatever.
I think the architecture, like you look back at Broadwell, Haswell.
That's what. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking architecture, not that exact processor.
Sure. Yeah. So, anyways, the previous gen AMD stuff, I still, in my opinion, didn't really compare to the to anything Intel had to offer. They were just that far behind from the get-go. They've been losing the race since the first generation I series debuted, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, what's the last system you built with an AMD?
Last system I built with an AMD. Oh man, for me or for somebody else?
For you. I mean, because you've built systems for other people with AMDs, like that's not a big deal.
Like I gotta like point and count in my fingers here. I went 3770K Core 2 Duo, Core 2 Quad, Core 2 Duo laptop, and then it was an AMD Athlon an Athlon 2800.
Damn. So we're talking
single core days.
Back in yonder heap in the olden days.
Yeah, but back then, I mean, that was big on putting AMD in everything. I built one for my brother, built one for Rusty back then. I built one for my little brother. He had the Athlon 64 5200 in his. So did Rusty. So did a different customer that I had back then. Yeah, I was putting AMDs in everything because they were just the best for price and performance. But they lost that. They started losing that with the Core 2 Quads and Core 2 Duos. But
Jopey hopped in. What's up, Jopey?
Hey, man. Yeah, and the architecture, the K10 architecture was holding in there, and then they moved away from it with Bulldozer.
I mean, to kind of go with that, I mean, that shows you how far behind AMD really was, because, if you think about it, I wouldn't have built, a system running an AMD, unless it was a very strict budget. My go-to for performance has always been Intel. And it sucks because, when you tell somebody, I can build you a system, granted, building a system still it's cheaper and less involved than it used to be, right? I mean, back in the day when you had to build a system, there was a lot more research you had to do. There weren't sites like PC Part Picker. Everything was kind of up in the air. But when you go to somebody and you're like, I can build you a gaming system. Okay, well, what's it going to cost? Do you have a screen? Yeah. Okay, do you have a keyboard mouse? Okay, cool. Yeah, you're looking at like $900.
Yeah, actually, my first computer that I built, that I had, my dad had me sell some stuff for, that we had lying around the house, was it was that computer, as a matter of fact, with the Athlon 20. Actually, it was a 2500. I overclocked it to a 2800. It was a Barton core.
Got it.
And it had a Radeon 9500 Pro.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was $900, and that was without a monitor.
Yeah, I mean, my system and Chris's system are close to the same age. Like, realistically, they're close to the same age processor-wise. Other parts have been swapped out and things like that, but I'm on a 2700K i7. You're on a 3770K.
Yeah, same socket. Yours is the tick. Mine is the talk.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, really, the fact of the matter is these processors. I mean, when did I get that thing? I got it when I was still at Geek Squad, so that was 6 years ago.
And I got it the winter deal after that.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, mine was 2012.
Okay.
Winter 2012.
And mine was 2011 when I got it, because I didn't do the summer. It was a winter deal back then. Yeah, that's right. And this thing still hangs. I mean, it runs like a beast, even compared to the new stuff out there. The biggest thing that I can say from, reading and kind of watching the stream with the Ryzen is lower wattage, dude. I mean, the wattage looks super good on paper. Like
Oh yeah,
the power
if it,
consumption, if it can live up to that once they start introducing their what the hell do they call it? Their XFR.
oh right,
Yeah,
the
their
extended
extended.
frequency range.
Yep. Hey, what's up, Rusty? If they can keep that wattage there, I mean that's killer. And the cool thing about it that I noticed too in the press release, it didn't seem to really like they didn't make a big deal about it, but to me, it sounds rad, dude. It's oh god, what did they call it? It's their new power management. It's called Precision Boost, I think, is what they call it.
Yes.
And there's
And that all works with that. What is it called? The infinity mask, infinity layer, something like that.
Yeah, it's like like fabric. They call it something stupid like that.
Oh, infinity fabric.
That's
What
it.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's stupid name. But to go with the XFR function, the extended frequency response, reading up on that, it seems like it's GPU boost for your CPU. You give it
Yeah.
more cooling than it'll ever need, and it just goes, "Hey, dude, I'm going to overclock and do it without you having to do anything."
Yeah.
That seems
Yeah,
pretty legit. I mean, I'm excited about that. Hey, Torley's in here. What's up, Torley? So, there's things about it that and this is the big if because they haven't said anything about it, is price point. If it can come in, even at $500, that's going to be a killer deal.
That's the rumored price for the 8-core.
Well, it's a rumor though, and that's the shitty thing because it's like, look at and it's not Nvidia's fault, but look at the rumor pricing on the or even the list pricing on the 10 series cards. There's no reason anybody should be spending more than like $320 on a 1060.
Well, see, here's the
There's
thing
no
that
reason.
they have to that they have to keep up with as far as the pricing goes. They still have to set a standard on the low side because they're showing that they can keep up with Broadwell. And in the Blender test, it barely kept up with it. And in Handbrake, it did beat it.
It
But
beat
if
it by
you're that
like
close
3 seconds, right?
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're that close to Broadwell, where is Skylake and Kaby Lake, which are faster than Broadwell?
Right, and that works.
So-
that
so-
works into like a 5% increase over current gen Intels for
Right.
for Handbrake. That's about what that works out to.
So you still have to have a price that's correct for the value of the processor in terms of IPC, because the Kaby Lake and Skylake are still faster.
Right, and I mean it's it's one of those things. It's like this is a big deal for AMD. It's a big deal for everybody. I mean, if you're in the market to build a computer, I'd say within the next year, this is something to watch super closely. Just because I mean, they're coming in at 8-core, 3.4 gigahertz a core, with no on the one they did today with no
Base clock. That was a base clock.
Yeah, with no their turbo
no-
boost or precision boost.
Nope. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No boost
Yeah, no
announced
boost.
until launch. She actually said launch, so
Right.
we had to wait a little while.
Right, and they're supposed to be coming out in January, right? Of
Mid January.
yeah. So I mean, we're at the edge here, but I mean, it's gonna be legit, dude. It's gonna support 3.1 USB. And the cool thing about the demo, I really dug this, is in the demo they were using the Pascal cards in SLI, the Pascal Titans.
They were an SLI. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they were SLI, which means this is legit. That you have a what do they call it, like a prototype processor. Essentially, it's still not mass produced. Evaluation copy, basically. You have an evaluation
engineering sample.
There you
Yes.
go, engineering sample evaluation copy. You have a processor that's not out in the wild. That driver support from NVIDIA isn't through the roof, and it supports SLI. Now, I've had SLI systems in the past, and the support for them is kind of shitty. And a lot of that is on NVIDIA's end, but it also uses the PC's the motherboard. It uses the motherboard's bus to manage the way it renders from the card. So it does 1 2 1 2 1 2 from the cards, depending on how you have your SLI set up. I mean, that's for it to support that already is legit, dude. I mean, that's no joke.
Yeah, they have to support everything modern at this point.
But I mean, like, think about it. When my 660 Ti's I put in SLI, that card was already 2 years old when I did that. 2 or 3 years old when I did that. And the support for it was still garbage. I mean, I still had random, not even in games, just random driver hangs and things like that. And they weren't even overclocked. They were just an SLI. And it wasn't a bad card because each card on its own ran perfectly. So for the system to run great already with the processor and engineering sample, that's a big deal. I mean, they've done their homework basically on this.
Well, it's do or die for them. So they have to do well, or that's it for them.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't
it's
feel
this
like
market.
it doesn't feel like previous releases, where they're just like, here's the new thing, and we're doing the same thing we did before.
Let's see what's next.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they're no longer playing the massive catch up. It's like trying to catch like a Porsche 911 and a Beetle. It's just you're not gonna. Sure, they look similar from a distance, but they're
no, not in a Beetle, in like a bunch of Beetles.
Well, true, and a bunch of
like
Beetles
pushing each other.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a bunch of 1600cc little twin cylinder cars pushing each other. That's a lot of horsepower there.
That was AMD's last tactic. They're all like, all right, let's just get a bunch of these and just kind of see if that works.
And it didn't work well for them. I mean, it's a good. I'm not saying it's bad, but it didn't work well for them.
They're just ahead of their time with that, and eventually, I'm sure things will migrate back to that, but with new stuff that was learned from that lesson.
I agree. I really think that they've learned a lot from the past, and it feels like they're going in a different direction, like the same, building a processor and all that other stuff, but they're going in a different direction compared to how they were. And like you said, it is do or die for them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely.
It's a big deal. I mean, I was reading the bench the actual rendering times, and it was only a 15-watt difference when they did the Blender test, which is full CPU usage.
It didn't really crank up that high then?
No, that was what the difference was 15 watts between the two. So compared to the 6900K, the Ryzen used 15 watts less.
That's good. I mean, they got to be caught up with the thermal stuff as well. I mean,
right.
FX processors was just out of the park on thermals in comparison.
Well, and a lot of it too. 15 watts sounds super good, but the thing to play devil's advocate a little bit here. Ooh, excuse me. I think that not having any type of boost on it, I think that 15 watts will be made up. Because think about it, if the expanded frequency response or extended frequency response or whatever it is, does what they claim it can do. I mean, look at all the graphics cards that are out. They've all been able to clock up above what their wattage was.
Right. That's exactly kind of what I was getting at as well in my video I did before we jumped on here.
Right. Well, which, by the way, if you haven't, he's in the chat right now. It's Coalition Gaming. You can go watch that video on their channel, but wait till after the stream. You can go check that out. But, I mean, think about it. 15 watts. I know that my current overclock, I think the base wattage on the 2700K, I think it's 95 watts. I think that's the total usage.
Ivy Bridge should be less. That's the whole purpose of the talk.
Maybe it's 75. Mine's Sandy Bridge. Yours is Ivy Bridge.
Right. That's I'm thinking about mine.
Yeah, I think mine's 95 watts, if I remember correctly. Anyways, if that is what the
77 watts on mine.
So I think mine's 95, which would be, a big decrease from Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge. But I know with the overclock I have in 95, my overclock wattage when it's under full load is 135 watts because of the boost. That's a big jump. I mean, that's huge. So 15 watts of headroom. I really would have liked to have seen the 6900K have turbo boost disabled completely to really see what the wattage comparisons would have been.
Yeah, but then you would have had a ton of people saying that AMD neutered it for the benchmark.
I mean, it's tough because it's an apples to apples thing, and they're making it into like a Jonna Gold versus like a Granny Smith. It's like, yeah, they're both apples, but for Christ's sake, like Jonna Golds are clearly better. Let's be honest.
As long as it's not Red Delicious.
Oh God, I hate those. I mean, I shouldn't say I hate them. They're okay. They have their place, but yeah. No, I mean,
throwing at you.
Exactly. No, exactly. I mean, the thing looks killer. The only thing, they're being really tight on the price. They don't have a date. They just said, Q1 2017 January is what they're shooting for. Or 2017.
Yeah, I'm gonna run with the rumors that I've heard because I mean they got it. It's already been sort of delayed all year.
Careful.
I'm not gonna say that's what's gonna happen, but I'm just as far as not necessarily performance metrics and things like that, but rather just like, oh, you know what, it's supposed to come out mid-January. Sure, because they want to come out before KB Lake, and that's February.
That's true.
There's just a few you can deduce a few things that kind of give credence to the rumors.
No, definitely. I mean, the thing is, we talked about this earlier in a very long-winded conversation in our tech chat that we have, and one of our associates in there, one of our friends, takes big issue with the fact that the AMD hype mill and everything just, the fans run rampant with it. I mean, and I think it's a good thing because it shows that people are still interested in what AMD's doing. They really could have. People could care less because, let's be honest, the last few things, other than the 4 series cards from them, have kind of been lackluster. It hasn't really been anything like holy shit, right? Like it's just been.
That's right.
It's been whatever. So the fact that people are interested and doing the hype train on this thing, I like it, but at the same time, I agree with our buddy Matt. It is something that's like, man, you hype this thing up with 20 meg cache that's shared L2, L3, but the other ones in the Zen series aren't going to have that. So it's kind of like, I get his point. Like, they're making this big announcement today with this being that, and it coming out and having all this cool shit, but then really the base of the lower Zens, I don't remember what the code names were for them. They have weird code names.
Well, in this case, like they were specifically talking about today's Ryzen, and
right.
Ryzen is going to be that top one, and that's what those slides were specific to, Ryzen.
Right, and no, I agree with that.
We'll see what happens with the rest of the Summit Ridge models, because I believe Ryzen is just reserved for the top one, and the rest are just going to be Summit Ridge.
Right, and the thing that worries me about that though is like we were talking about a lot of people. I'm guilty of this too for certain things. I just look at the bullet point. Shame on me for not reading everything. I mean, I'm a guy, dude. The last thing I read, I actually have it right here, is a instruction manual for cleaning my AR. This is literally the last thing I read, and the only reason is because I ran into a problem and got a patch stuck in the barrel, and it uses a different patch system. So I mean, I'm not going to read all the details. If I hear that AMD's making an announcement today regarding Zen, because they were really tight-lipped about the whole Ryzen as being like their flagship, they're just like, oh, it's a Zen announcement. I would just look at that at face value and be like, well, all the Zens have this. Like, oh, shit. And then it comes out and you're like, oh, wait, I did more reading. And no, it doesn't. Like that, I don't know. To me, it's like, being in tech, shame on me for not doing my research on that. But at the same time, if I'm excited about it, I'm not going to go and waste my time researching. I'm going to wait for someone like these two clowns you're watching in the stream to tell you what we think about it. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, that's kind of what I do in my downtime, especially at work, is I freaking just kind of crawl all the hardware sites and compare every different hardware site to see who says this, who says that, and just kind of get my own deductions out of all the different connections that you see in all these different ones.
So basically, you and I are like an aggregate search engine for certain things. We're just like, tell me all the shit that you've read, and then just like kind of trickle it down into important points and take the pros and cons, right? Like,
yeah, Joey, it's officially Ryzen.
Ryzen. So it's like the word rye, and like you're in a place of Zen.
Ah, yes. But I think they played it off. It ended up just making sense, even though the news sites originally, when the name Ryzen leaked, it was they were saying it's pronounced Risen, and I'm like, I don't know. And then somebody made the connection: New Horizon, Ryzen.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it works, but
that was the name of the event today. So why are they going to have it New Horizon?
Well, because it's kind of one of those things. Like, I look at it as AMD has risen out of their ashes of their shit poor management and everything that they've done in the past. It was just stupid.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. But I think Phoenix would have been a better name if they were going for that.
Well, and the thing is New Horizon already exists. It's a telescope. By the way, it's in space. It's the new.
It's kind of a different different realm here. But Rusty's asking, how'd you get the patch stuck?
Okay, Rusty, I'll explain how I got the patch stuck in the barrel. All right, so the Otis system that I have has that cable and it has an eyelet that looks like a normal eyelet, right? So I use the patch, even though there's a thing in there, because I'm an idiot and I'm a guy and I don't read shit. I threw the patch in there like you would normally use a patch, to like twist and go through the barrel. So I run the cable through and I pull it through, and it freaking comes out of the eyelet and it gets stuck just past the breech. Like right past the lock inside the AR's barrel. I was like, son of a bitch. Yeah, it was a rookie mistake, but what are you going to do, dude? It's like, I learned from it, and I was like, why did they give me these stupid round patches? What the fuck is this? And then I read it, and I was like, oh, got it. So, yeah, it's an oops mistake, but it happens. So, but it's like the AMD thing earlier today. Ryzen is better than Ryzen. Ryzen will kill you.
I mean, technically, there's the kind of harsh chemicals that they made the chip with will kill you too.
Well, let's ask the children in Malaysia, China, wherever their main manufacturing plant is.
Intel's ARC site says conflict-free on some of their things.
It was a conflict because the people who voiced their opinion got buried in industrial waste. That's a horrible joke, but that's, it is what it is. Ooh, excuse me. I mean, I'm really excited to see how AMD implements their power management system, and because their whole thing with Zen is all these different systems work together. Like that's my understanding of it. So their power management, their precision boost, their frequency response system, and their learning. They have like machine learning built into the processor,
Yes, that we didn't.
which is kind of cool. Yeah, we didn't talk about the machine learning. That seems scary if you're running Windows 10, because Windows 10 already learns a lot about you and collects data. If you haven't, there's a popular YouTuber, his name is Barnacules. He used to be a Microsoft engineer, so I trust his advice. But there's actually a video he did on how to disable all of the shit that got changed with the Windows 10 anniversary update. Because a lot of stuff that I had already changed just from my usage of Windows, I was like, I don't want this on, screw that. The anniversary update turned a lot of it back on. So if you have the anniversary update, turn it back off. But I mean, the machine learning thing's cool because it can anticipate, like, not just based on load, right? Like if you're gonna open up, and this remains to be seen with how they optimize the processor to run with Mercury Playback Engine, if at all, if they're gonna do that for like Premiere. But if you're doing a video and you load up Premiere, right? The problem if you have a lot of effects going and you're using just CPU, not GPU offloaded, is when you go to like play back a clip that has a lot of effects on it, it takes a minute for the turbo boost on the Intel series chips to catch up to smooth out any effects you have going if you're not using GPU, right? So
I guess the what you call it, the test that they were doing with ZBrush, sort of relevant to that in the stream.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, somebody's asking for a Barnacules. You know what, Joey? I will get you that right now.
I'm not sure that you post links in there, so you might have to send it to him.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna do it the other appropriate way. Yeah, the not posting it in here, and I'm gonna try to do it without having any audio going, so it doesn't like start. Hey, what's up? It's Jerry here. Like I don't need that.
Oh right, yeah, your audio.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the deep learning stuff and the prefetch is what they're calling it. The improved prefetch to me it's really like they're taking the approach with SSD caching and hybrid drives and sort of assimilating that into the processor, which is really interesting, especially given the fact that with the deep learning techniques, that it's going to not just sort of try to predict what comes next, it's going to learn over time how a program will repeatedly ask for certain things, look for patterns in that, and use those patterns then to get to further its prefetch algorithm.
Right. And I think that, I think when it hits real world applications, I really think that this opens a door for a new level of computing. Really? I mean,
I just hope it doesn't start Skynet or something.
Well, that's kind of the joke that's going on right now, is that, hey, there's a potential for, depending on how AMD does it, because AMD is not a company that historically has had really shady practices.
That'd be Intel.
That would be Intel, right? That would be Intel and maybe even NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has kind of had...
both of those guys, man.
Yeah, it's, they're all, every company is guilty of this, but I think that's one of the reasons is that like Linux has such a big following, is because it's community based, and people generally who are trying to improve something aren't going to be bums. And I think that AMD really kind of has that following because they haven't done something dirty, all right? Like they haven't done something that's betrayed the trust of people yet. I mean, look at what they said when they came out with the 480s. They're like, this is the price point. What are the price points at? For the most part,
$200 for the 4 gig and $239 for the 8 gig.
I mean, we're right there. We are right there, and it's not like, it's not like it's running amok with their pricing. Whereas Nvidia, when their 10 series cards, came out with this pricing model, and the cards hit, and like we talked about earlier, holy shit, like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's just all over the place. They get the MSRP right, but then they screwed up on the add-in board partner cards.
Right.
And then they learned it with RX 470, and they had no cards available at MSRP. All of them were add-in partners.
Right, and it is one of those things. It's like, damn, dude. I really, really wish that it would be
baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. And the machine learning stuff seems legit as shit, though. Personally, I really, really am excited for that.
Yeah. Look at that. I know you like that.
I actually pulled up a few different things here. Let me pull up the actual the smart prefetch. Yeah, it anticipates the location of future data accesses by application code, advanced learning algorithms, blah blah blah, and stores it in your cache. That's pretty legit.
Well, that's where the L3 cache. The L3 cache acts as a sort of a dump,
Right.
and where the unused, or we no longer need that information. It'll sit in the L3 cache for a little while,
Mhm.
and if it somehow manages to require it after that, then it can pull it from the on die cache extremely quickly.
Right.
But it will also dump there basically as it's sort of building what it wants to predict.
Right.
So the larger the cache, obviously, the better in this case. It's more of an advantage for servers because that's constantly accessing. So it's just going to be constantly trying to predict.
Right.
On your consumer computer, it's a lot more random. So
That's
as
true.
far as the benefit for your average consumer playing games and twitching between all over this
Right.
tab and that tab and this and
Right.
that might not be so beneficial, but it's going to be beneficial to in some way and more to others.
Right. Right. And I mean, that's speaking of going back and forth between tabs and everything like that on your current computer. If you use Google Chrome, I haven't shared this with any of you guys yet, but there's a plugin called the Great Suspender available from the Google Store, their application store for Chrome. Get it. What it does is basically if you have a bunch of tabs open, if you're like a binge internet user like I am and you just have like 1,000 tabs of random crap open, it kills the stuff you haven't visited in like 15 minutes to save some RAM. That's kind of cool. That's just that's just a good tool though, because Chrome is a freaking resource hog, and no amount of smart predictive caching is going to help that. Like, let's be honest. Like,
it's just going to predict that it needs a bunch of resources.
yeah, exactly. And then, oh, where'd all my RAM go? Oh,
It's
shit.
going to be like, oh crap, it's Chrome.
Right? Yeah. It's like, oh god, here we go. No, but the thing with I don't like their verbiage here for their neural net prediction on their slide from the presentation today. Scary smart prediction.
It's they're going a little too far with it.
Yeah, they're going. I mean, I get it. You're really proud of
they're really
this.
they're really pumping it up. It's just because it's the kind of event that it is.
Right.
Tomorrow there's an event that's going to be a little more in depth with just with the developers and such. But this is just a huge, let's make everything sound awesome event.
And they did. They really killed it. I mean, I'm not a fan of the. And I hate to say it because, yes, I have an iPhone, but I'm not an Apple fanboy. But the way that they do their presentations for new products when Steve Jobs was around was killer.
Oh, actually, when I was watching the stream and I was around my coworkers, at least when the stream started, she thought it was like an Apple thing.
And that's what I was just going to hit, is that AMD killed it. They kind of brought back that Steve Jobs magic, except there was no, oh, one more thing. I was kind of hoping, I think we both were, it's like, oh, here's the 490. Like, I would have been like, oh, man.
Well, yeah, moving on. Let's get to Vega. That's what I thought they were going to. I thought they were going to one more thing the Vega card, but they sort of one more thing that without saying one more thing and just tacked it on at the end with the DLC with the Rogue One demo.
Garbage.
Yeah, I did talk about sort of in my other video. I did talk about sort of how they weren't really too forthcoming in which settings they were running everything. I'm sure everything was on high or ultra, which is fine, but not so much. There's a really short demo with the 4K test in the Vega card, and that's not even telling us if it's an RX 490. My opinion, it's the Instinct Vega card, which the 490 can very well be that card, or it's going to be a cut down version of that card.
Explain what that card is for people like me who haven't followed the Vega transitions, because I've already got my peepers set on like a 1080 Ti or something stupid, like, or a Titan, even though like the Titan would just be more as a workstation, not so much a gaming. But explain what that is.
So both manufacturers have their workstation cards, but NVIDIA has been incredibly touting their I think they call it Tesla and some other GP100 based neural net cards, basically deep learning graphics cards, and that's what all the stream processors are being utilized for. And AMD hasn't really had.
It's the same thing, dude.
In that realm. They sort of did. The Fire Pro cards are more workstation cards than like server room deep learning cards. Well, Polaris and Vega are aiming to change that. So recently they announced their project with that, and they're calling it Instinct.
Right.
And it is the first type of technology that's going to be using Vega, and is related obviously to, well, that's the architecture that's going to be going into the new graphics cards, but they're going to release it out to the big enterprise for deep learning and stuff first.
It's like Street Fighter. Does it come with the mask and a claw?
Yeah. So So Instinct is just the code name for that. Vega is the card being used inside Instinct, and the current one is something like 4096 stream processors, I
Right,
think.
right,
And that could be the full Vega RX 490, or it
right.
can just be the Instinct Vega card that us consumers aren't going to get, but we're going to get a cut down version of that.
Right.
And knowing AMD, hey, there's a chance that we can flash the BIOS and unlock that, because that happened with the RX 460 just a few days ago.
Now, now I know this isn't as big of a deal with the PCI standard for like the 480. How there was that whole power gate, right? Like how there was the whole don't put a 480 into your freaking Sabertooth board because it'll burn your board out, right? Do you think that? I mean, I know they showed a test with the wattage draw on the Ryzen. Do you think that maybe there will be more room for improvements as they release the socket out, right? Like to different board manufacturers and things like that, where they can put different chokes on it and things like that. You know, going with this frequency response system, because let's be honest, like a cheap ASRock board isn't going to be the same as like a high end Gigabyte board or even a high end MSI board. I mean, it's.
In my opinion, the processor is responsible for judging that, because that's what all this in Infinity Fabric stuff is about.
Right.
It's gonna talk to the rest of the system and be like, yeah, I don't think I can put that much power through you.
Right, but here's the thing though, because the way it's all conjecture, but the way the verbiage is written for their frequency response is it will basically, the way that they've worded it, and I'll read it from the slide, it says permits frequency above and beyond ordinary precision boost limit. So that's basically their version of hyper turbo boost, right? It's their precision boost.
In my opinion, that's their version of GPU boost 3.0 or 2.0.
Right, but it's on a CPU. So it's,
Right.
you know, but they're saying that this extended frequency, like you said, it is GPU boost. That's basically what it is. But it goes above and beyond what your standard turbo boost frequency would be. So like, I think for mine, the standard turbo boost on a 2700K is 4 gigahertz, I think is what it's supposed to be, the max under load. I think, I might be wrong, but let's just say 500 megahertz increase, right?
I'll grab it, man.
So let's say that your Ryzen goes from 3.5 gigahertz. I think that a 500 3.9, yeah. So yeah, nearest makes no difference for 4 gigahertz.
Whatever, go on.
I think that 3.5 for an 8 core going to 4 gigahertz per core, I think that's attainable. Now here's where it becomes interesting, because every board is going to be designed, you know, to accommodate that. They're going to accommodate that type of voltage delivery with the VRM system, with the chokes, everything like that. It's going to allow that.
It's going to be like, for best results, use the X370 enthusiast class motherboards with AM4,
Right.
and then it'll just go lower from there.
Right, but do you think that that's going to be a standard across all the different, you know, chipsets on the board, or if they're going to be one manufacturer that maybe stands out?
I think the manufacturers will be able to stand out if they do it a certain way.
See, and I agree with that. I don't think it's going to be a standard. I don't think you can reasonably expect to have a budget board, even though they're maybe in the same chipset. Like, let's say we're talking like a $120 board versus like a $300 board. The $300 board, if this extended frequency range works like they claim it will, I think that the $300 board is going to just absolutely take a dump on the cheap board.
Well, the XFR, though, it's not just about the board. It's also about the cooling that you're using on your system.
Right. No, that goes without saying. But good to bring it up in case people missed that. Yeah, if you have good cooling like liquid nitrogen or a custom water loop like Chris and I have now, you know, you're going to get more out of it. I mean, we talked about this in the first tech talk about how much now we didn't actually do like a super in-depth, but your GPU boosts up a lot more than it did just by having water on it.
Well,
but you did overclock it.
I overclocked it. It's going to 1577 boost now, but its advertised boost is 1367. However, if it's within its thermal envelope, I found out that GPU boost will let you go over what's spec'd, and it would actually just sit around 1418.
Right.
And mine sits on 1418 all day long.
Yep.
And that's higher than advertised. You're getting a free overclock right there.
Yeah, mine will hit higher because I have a full coverage block. Mine will do about 1650, I think is what it'll hit. It hit 17 once, but it was super unstable, so I had to roll that way back. But
I got into the 1600s. I got the 1620 at one point. It wasn't necessarily super unstable, but
mine was unstable enough, dude. Driver hangs in Photoshop. I'm like, dude, really? Of all things, really?
I didn't get driver hangs. It just let's see, Valley would act up. That's it. None of my system would act up.
Yeah, which is weird because mine passed the Valley benchmarks and it passed freaking Firestrike, which is really finicky. It passed,
oh man, that one is.
Yeah, it passed Firestrike, but when I'd go into something remedial that just kind of barely taxed, you know, GPU with acceleration, it would freak out. So that I want to see if that works. If the extended frequency range is as stable as just standard GPU boost. But then you have to ask yourself: is AMD's always been able to overclock stupid high on a single core?
It was stupid high on the processor overall, honestly.
Right. But I mean, I think they're the fastest processor in the world is still an AMD because they did it on one core with liquid nitrogen, and it's some like astronomical clock speed.
8 gigahertz, I think.
Yeah, it's up there, and I'm pretty sure it's an AMD. Someone might correct us, but I'm pretty sure it's
an AMD.
Yeah. So I mean,
AMD.
With this technology, though, do you think that might hinder that ability to overclock on your own without exceeding what the GPU? Would you overclock, or would you just let the extended frequency range do its thing?
It depends. I'd have to see where the extended frequency range lets me go to. But if I were to get one of these and the extended frequency range bumped up really high and it was across multiple cores, I'd probably just leave it alone. But if it was not bumping up as high as I would have liked, let's say it's only going 200 or 300 megahertz, then I would be like, okay, let's see how I can actually overclock this.
Right. And I kind of agree with you on that because I didn't overclock my i7 until I was starting to run into maybe a little bit. I knew there was more in it. I knew it could handle far more than what it was giving me. I mean, and I didn't overclock it until I had ample cooling. Now, if Intel offered something like that extended frequency range, then great.
Well, they just might. It's just a matter of let's see what Intel does next now.
The biggest thing, though, and I think everybody's going to be curious about this, is what do you think it's going to do price-wise to Intel if AMD comes in at the $500 mark? Do you think they're going to price gouge their 6900s and like drop them like Nvidia's been doing on older gen cards once they announce the new series? Like, what do you think?
They'll go down a little bit, but it'd still be like the AMDs will be cheaper. Nvidia is going to be like Toyota or something, or well, not Nvidia. Sorry, Intel is going to be like in Toyota or Nvidia in a way where they'll sit on their laurels basically.
See, and I think you might be right, but part of me hopes that you're not. I really hope.
Oh no, yeah.
I really hope that this shocks Intel into like a freaking almost like a cathartic experience. Like, holy shit, we really need to get our stuff together.
This is one of the reasons I think that the i3, was it 7100 or 7300 is going to be a K processor. Yeah. Intel, in my opinion, is threatened at the idea of an incredibly fast and high productivity budget Zen component. And so what they're going to do is they're going to release an enthusiast overclockable i3 that supposedly they claim it can outrun i5s of previous generations.
I would actually put stock in that. I really think it could, truthfully.
Probably, but in the end, hyperthreading is still not as good as a real core.
That's true. I mean, what do you think?
That'll be a hyperthreading dual core versus a hyperthreading 8 core. In some instances, it will.
I like how you added the sum. I like because if you're gaming, who gives a shit?
Well,
more cores.
Unless
you're playing WoW.
Rusty's a good example. Okay, so he went from an i3 4170, 3.7 gigahertz. So
how many cores?
Fast, 2 cores, hyperthreading, and then he jumped all the way up to an i7, and his game runs so much better. And I guess maybe the game is a bad example because Battlefield is a little better optimized for multiple cores.
Right.
But he did go from a hyperthreading dual core to a hyperthreading quad core, and it was a big difference.
No, but see, here's the thing though about that though that I kind of like to play devil's advocate on this. Most games, right, can't really utilize above 4 cores.
Oh, right.
Currently, right? So an 8-core processor, really, like the Ryzen's cool. Like if you have a rig like what Chris and I do in media creation streaming, the more cores, the better. Absolutely. However, I'd rather if AMD comes in at like a $250 price point, right, or that CPU is absolutely killer and has hyperthreading, but it's only a 4-core or even a 6-core, that'll be money. All this talk about Ryzen is I'm for it, but I want to see what the other products in that line are going to do.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the same thing with Vega. I know Joey, who's in the chat, Joey was he's been excited about Vega. He's been, come on man, give us a little bit of a teaser here. Like I don't need the whole Hershey's bar. I just need like one corner.
There was a little teaser today, and he was impressed with it. So that's a step in the right direction.
That was more of like.
It's a little teaser.
It was a little itty bitty, just like here you go, boop. Like
they're like,
yeah, they're dangling the carrot, which is just, whatever. I mean, I really think
it's the end of the year. They got to keep people interested.
No, definitely. I really think though that this whole the conference today. Really, if you didn't watch it, you should go watch it. There's plenty of freaking mirrors up where you can watch the stream. You can read the press release.
Definitely check out the streams. Pay close attention to some of the things that they talk about because I believe the streaming test they did with the streamer PPD, it wasn't exactly a 6700K that they had. They did something funny with the processor.
They were swapping out GPUs left and right for different things.
Right, but they were showing when they did the streamer guide with the Ryzen, they had Ryzen system over here streaming and running League, and it was running smooth, and they had the Intel system over here, and it was choppy. But I'm not sure if that wasn't 6700K or 6900K with cores turned off.
And yeah, that's one of those things we don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, because if it was a 6900K with cores turned off, that's actually a Haswell, in my opinion, in terms of IPC, not a Skylake.
Right.
But it still beat it, so, I mean, whatever.
Did it beat it, though?
It's hard. It's hard to say because
it seems kind of loaded.
We didn't have a real breakdown in each of the demos of what was set up how, and especially they're like, oh look, this AMD is running this VR. Well, right. I'm not entirely sure AMD had a big problem running VR as long as you had a capable graphics card to begin with. So,
exactly.
I was like, okay, move on from that. I don't care about that.
Let's put it realistically, dude. A Pixel and a lot of the other devices will do VR, no problem.
Well, it's maybe not that kind of VR.
No, I know, but they're still able to display, 2 images at 90 hertz. That's like the standard to give you smooth, VR immersion is 90 hertz.
Well, even technically, the 970 will struggle as far as computer-based VR.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, VR has come a long ways as far as like the bare necessities to run it. Because, think back 2 years ago to run VR. Forget it. I mean, even Crysis. Look at the quality of Crysis when that game first came out. The games nowadays are on, they're better, but the quality of Crysis when it came out was so far ahead, and it's like VR right now is still in its infancy. It's getting better by the month, but back then you had to have two 8800 GTXs to play Crysis at any reasonable frame rate. I mean, it was ungodly.
Well, I played Crysis when it first came out with the demo at least with 8800 GTS, and I didn't run everything at Ultra. I also had it at 1680 by 1050,
right,
but it ran pretty well.
Yeah, when you start breaking down the things, you're like, oh shit, okay, I was able to play it, but
I've never been all about it has to play Ultra and it has to play at crazy high resolutions. It's
and that's another thing.
Unnecessary for people to be so into that. Like it's a minuscule difference most of the time between high and ultra, it's a big difference in terms of frames per second.
Oh, definitely. I would rather run a game to have smooth, consistent frames per second to be competitive while playing versus having something that while I'm sitting here playing it at 60 frames a second because I only have 60 hertz screens, I'm not going to notice that minuscule difference in that blade of grass on that texture. Sure, when I edit the video later and I look at what I did, it's like, man, that looks gorgeous on ultra, but it's like I really don't want to take the performance hit if there's 1,000 things going on around me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's just our opinion.
Yeah. Do you have anything else going on your list there? Ryzen, Vega, SD card stuff, SSD stuff. I did a little PSA on SSDs. Get it while you can, but
No, I think the biggest thing to take away from it is it's, the power management's legit on the Zen. No date, no price. It was faster during Handbrake, but again, Blender, it was the same, but it did it at lower watts without any turbo boost.
Yeah. Everything is pointing in a positive direction for them.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting to see what's going to come next, because next is only good for them at this point. Right. You can't get any worse.
Right. Now, what do you think about? We can talk about your camera. Tell the nice people what you got for a camera recently.
Let me reach for it real quick.
Uh-oh, he's going away. Oh, he's back.
I'm back. All right. Am I still framed right?
Hey, you're good. I would have told you if you were going to be like, slouch, fix your camera. Do what you need to do.
I'm not a slouch. Anyways, I got a new Panasonic G7 camera. Homebrewedhero did a little shootout mini review on it, and overall, I'm really happy with it. I wouldn't have paid the full price for it, but I was dreading that, as a matter of fact. That's why I was considering the EOS cameras especially with the EOS M5 coming out, making probably the EOS M3 prices go down.
But the EOS M3 doesn't do 60 frames a second.
It doesn't?
No, I found that out when I did the video review. The M3 only, it caps out at 30 frames a second. I was like, what a piece of shit, dude. I was like, I love Canon, but that bummed me out to no end. I was like, I can't believe that this is actually happening with a brand new camera. And Canon has a history of that. Look at that thing. Fucking thing's gorgeous.
Set up for YouTubing.
You toss YouTubing.
Nice and light. Anyways, I also have this mic on it with this Takstar SGC 598. And for a $25 mic, it's really hard to beat. You know, it sounds great, and it can be tuned up to sound even better. And it pairs well with a budget system. So,
and I think that's a nice segue into Christmas gift ideas for the techie in your life.
If they need a little on-camera powered budget mic, or you don't have a lot of money, or SGC 598,
even if you want to make your money go farther, I mean,
or that
I did a video shootout on that too, and I compared it to my lavalier mic versus the Rode Video Micro, which is I think $100 mic compared to that thing. And the lavalier, every single one of those mics had their pros and they had their cons. That mic that's on there, that Takstar mic, is actually very good for the price. You can check the channel out and see it. I think there's also on the coalitions underneath their playlist. I think it's in there too. But
oh yeah, any video that Homebrew you see that's tech reviews, it's also in my playlist. So whichever way you guys go, check out our tech video playlist and you'll see it there.
It doesn't matter to either of us really. Who gives a shit?
But yeah, so what kind of other ideas do you think? Okay, that would be little microphones like this. They actually make another one, but I heard that the range isn't as good. The 8 SGC 698.
I read
it's
about
a small
that.
one like your. It's a small one like your micro.
Yeah, I read about that when I was doing the review. It doesn't seem to be quite as nice. And that's the cool thing about that being a powered shotgun is it's going to have the range. I mean, it's and I did it at about 13, 14 inches from me, and the sound it eliminated the background noise because of the way the pickup pattern is on it. That thing's killer for the price. The only thing, if you watch the video, I'll do the too long didn't read, but basically the bass response a little bit lacking compared to the other mics, but it's still very good. And you can fix that in post, no problem. So that's the short and sweet of it. It's a good mic though for the price.
For sure.
Even if it was $50, still a good deal.
Well, honestly, I'd say that this camera overall would be a good gift idea too for somebody who was looking to get into photography.
Find a deal.
More leaned on video, but yeah, find a deal on it because right now it's already back up to $600-700, and its sale price when it was just a normal sale was $447 to $500. I got it for $318 because I had extra coupons and other stuff. And if you can get it like that, then for sure jump on it. If you can sacrifice a little bit of video quality and you want to get good photos and still go with a small compact camera, then an EOS like M3, for example, since those prices are going to be going down, would be a good idea.
Even the M1, you can still pick those up, camera and lens for like, I think $275 was what they're going for on Amazon.
Well, what I found interesting was
that's a deal.
What I found interesting was that the M3 doesn't have touch screen autofocus or touch whatever, but the M1 does.
Right? Yeah. The M1 has touch autofocus and it has face tracking. It's pretty legit.
Yeah. So the M5, I don't even really want to talk about the M5, but I think they have 60 FPS on the M5.
Mm-hmm. It does. I think the M5 when it comes, well, it depends on what Canon's going to do because really,
but they're like, let me open the camera this way.
Right.
I'm like,
And that's the trippy thing is they're just like
maybe the M6 will solve all the issues.
Hopefully, it's one of those weird things where you don't know.
I think it's because mirrorless Micro Four Thirds, in my opinion, is starting to take off.
See, there's something about that. We're gonna go on a little bit of a tangent from the Christmas gift, I think, but we're gonna talk about that Micro Four Thirds thing. I don't read Cyrillic. I wish I did. Otherwise, I'd be able to help say what to. Basically read what you're saying there, buddy.
Anyways, go on.
So Micro Four Thirds, you lose a third of an f-stop, by the way, of usable light going with a Micro Four Thirds system.
Actually, you know what? I got reminded of something when we were talking about the Sonys. The Sonys use a full, I wouldn't say full, but they use an APS-C sensor.
APS-C, you do not lose any f-stop usable light. On a 4/3 system, you do.
That's why I was told that Sony mirrorless cameras, they have better image quality, but they have other faults that bring its value down.
Yeah, and it's the same with the Canon. The EOS M is a APS-C. It uses the same sensor roughly as the full size SLRs, not full frame, but the full size SLRs like the Rebel series or even like the D series, like a 10D 5 or not 5D, 10D, 20D, 30D. I think the first M series camera that came out had the same sensor as a 50D, I think, or a 60D. It had the same sensor as whatever camera that was.
Wouldn't be the same sensor as like a Rebel, or technically that was still the same sensor?
It is the same sensor, but the biggest difference was in the cache size, the digic processing power, things like that. But the trippy thing about this is the reason I bought my EOS M, is because it used the latest digic processor when the 50D did not. I think the 50D was like a digic 3 and the EOS M used a digic 4. And it was like, wait, hold on a minute. This camera that I can get for $250 body and lens on Amazon has a newer processor with the same sensor? Sign me up, dude.
Yeah. Is the EOS M considered mirrorless?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just not Micro Four Thirds.
Right. It's not Micro Four Thirds. Now, the problem with that is we Chris and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, is that the Micro Four Thirds, correct me if I'm wrong, they use the same lenses, right? Micro Four Thirds lenses, the mount.
Four Thirds generally use. Apparently, the Micro Four Thirds Panasonic uses the same as Olympus, which is compatible with whatever is compatible with that family. I'm not sure if it uses Fuji as well.
It would, because Panasonic and Fuji shared a lot of parts back in the day for their cameras, so that would make sense that the FinePix series would use the same lens mount. But see, that becomes not really a problem, but it makes Micro Four Thirds more appealing to your average consumer because you don't have to get specialty lenses like the Canon system. Canon lenses on our EOS M, you're using a EFS or EFM, I think is the series for the lens. Or you buy the adapter, which looks like this, that allows you to take EF or EFS lenses and pop that on there, so you can use either one of those lenses on your EOS M. The problem is Sony also has their own system because they use a different mount, because each one's manufactured. Right, they're NEX and Nikon's DX. They use different lenses for each one, so it's just like shit.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing to think about when comparing mirrorless or Micro Four Thirds, just small body interchangeable lens cameras, because where can you get the most value out of lenses? Because a lot of the time, it's the lens that makes the quality. I mean, kit lenses and some of these aren't very good, and you automatically want a better lens right off the bat. I got lucky. I guess the Panasonics are not too bad right off the bat.
I was just going to say that Panasonic, I was kind of wondering if Leica actually did the glass for it.
Oh, it's that good, you think?
Dude, I mean, okay, Leica lenses 20 years ago, killer lenses. In the last, 20 years, decade since, they've gone down, but they're still on par with like the ultra low dispersion lenses from like Tamron, Sigma, things like that. So they're on par with that quality. But it was shocking to see that in a kit lens. Like, I was very impressed. I was like, damn. And I didn't do it in the review because, again, I didn't film like a post-mortem, which I should have. I should start doing that in my videos. But
like watch the whole video and then, or what?
Right, and then throw in like a final thought. But the freaking quality on that thing is, on that lens, it's sharp. A lot of times when you view full resolution, you have aberrations on highlights and things like that, and that lens didn't seem to suffer from it too badly.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot about in the reviews when I was looking at it, that the kit lens is superior to a lot of its competitors and their kit lenses.
The only thing I can fault it on is I wish it came with a faster lens for the price. It's just a for the price thing.
Yeah.
Most kit lenses are a 3.5, f-stops. It's
for the price, sure. At my price, I'm not going to.
Yeah, at your price, dude, it's like, oh, well, shit. That's freaking EOS M money, and it does 4K, and it has more megapixels. Why not? Like,
yeah, I want to let Wayne borrow it and to shoot some stuff see what he can kind of do with it.
Hell yeah, dude.
That'd be interesting.
So
anyway,
let's go back
gifts. To Christmas gifts. So
Christmas
we
gifts.
talked about cameras and microphones and that sort of gear, but let's see, other techies aren't necessarily always about cameras either. So, in my opinion, AIO systems.
That's actually a good one. I didn't think about that. AIO system would be a good one because all the AIO systems are universal. So you don't even need to know what your person you're going to buy a gift for, what they have in their rig. The only thing you have to look out for is fan size. But really, if you do like a 120, or like a 140, you don't even need to worry about it. They'll fit in pretty much anything.
It's like, hey, do you have a computer? Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. And there, I think what is a like a 120 millimeter one go for like $70, $78, $90, somewhere on there.
Yeah, you can get into. Well, actually, the 120 that I stuck on the graphics card was $55,
Oh,
$60.
dude, yeah, it's an
Yeah,
855, right?
yeah,
Yeah, dude, go that route. I mean,
yeah.
that's a good,
Definitely, that's a good gift idea right there for sure.
it's a super
Okay,
good gift idea.
what you got?
I was
Mod
gonna
mic?
say SSDs or mod mic. SSDs
Ah,
SSDs are picky, they're finicky, and the reason I say that is because right now you're seeing price gouging because of the holidays.
I'm not. You think it's the holidays? I think it's price fixing, and it's gonna last longer than the holidays.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a holiday thing, because the problem is, and I thought an SSD was a good gift idea, right? I felt that like since September, whatever. One of the big tech outlets did a I don't want to say like an article or like a commentary, but basically it's just like a little news blurb saying that SSDs are like the new thing to get for your people who have want a faster computer. Don't buy a new computer for them, buy them an SSD. And I'm not even kidding. Like 2 weeks after that article came out, you started to see all these prices start to go up. So to me, it's like somebody who works in the manufacturing sector said, hey, like for the drives, making the NANDs, whatever, said, hey, yeah, F this. We can get more money out of these people because this big media outlet said, hey, let's do it. Like maybe I should put a tinfoil hat on for that, but that's kind of what the timing is nothing short of just freaking absolutely perfect for that to make sense.
Well, then we're kind of two sides of the same coin there. Your tinfoil hat is regarding holidays, mine is regarding price fixing. But what you described sounds more like price fixing.
Well, it'll go down after the holidays. I mean, I would say you can probably expect to see SSDs drop in price probably around late January, early February, because that's typically when the holiday shopping drops. Like we worked in retail, so the holiday shopping like madness stops like mid-January.
I would hope so.
Yeah, see,
I really do hope so.
Rusty agrees. That's a good Christmas gift. Nothing fancy, just a 1 terabyte 850 Evo. What are those going for? 350?
I've seen them actually new but open box for in the 250 range still.
Bargain.
But yeah, the brand new ones is going to be three. They were at about $305 before the holidays, and now they're up to 350. So everything is going up. I thought Samsung was going to be a little more immune to it considering they manufacture their own stuff, but yeah,
I'm telling you, they all sat together in a room and they were like, what can we do to get a little bit more money this year? Like, I really think that's what happened. And, whatever, tinfoil hat. But if you've got a gamer in your life that wants to do, better audio, a lot of people will be looking at the Snowball mic, right? The Snowball mic's a killer mic, but it picks up a ton of background noise. It's just like this mic I have here, this Audio Technica. It's a killer mic, but if, you do this around it, it's going to pick it up no problem. Where the mod mic for I think it's $45, $50 on Amazon, it basically you can use any hi-fi headset. That's actually, I have a mount on here. You can use any hi-fi standard headset, doesn't matter. Clips on with a magnet and goes into the microphone in on your computer. So you can use it with a laptop, desktop, doesn't matter. And if you have like a Mac or a new device that only has a single jack with the 4-pole, so you don't have a mic and a headphone, you can easily wire that into a Y splitter and you're good to go. I think that's a good Christmas gift if you got someone who's a PC gamer, because it's one of those. I think it's a luxury.
Use it with the console too, no?
With the new
have the headphone jack on the remote.
Right. Well, yeah, with the new gen stuff like with the Xbox, yeah, if you have something like this, with the Xbox 360 or Xbox One with that style connector, yeah, you could absolutely you could.
So it's a little more than just PC gamer in there.
Right. But you know,
versatile.
I think every single person has a set of headphones they absolutely love. So you can add the enjoyment. The gift will add enjoyment to something they already enjoy, like that they loved.
Yeah, you have Rusty over here. You have Rusty with this.
Hey,
so I'm going to use my PS4 one with my computer.
Yep.
You take it away from me.
Well, see, I think the PS4 controller though doesn't work with audio in through the controller. So you still have to use the PC, but whoop de fucking do.
Yeah, but he has this little box thing now.
Oh, Zalman's in here. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I've seen him. Zalman, you're probably going to watch from the beginning, but I don't know, maybe when you're in a truck tomorrow at work and you can just kind of chill in the passenger seat before you get from one place to the other.
Yeah, we're only at an hour. We're not super long. That's a short drive for him.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good gift. GoPro, actually, the old gen GoPros.
Oh yeah, GoPros for sure. Although it's starting to look like some of the knockoffs are coming in pretty high up. They're starting to punch above their weight class.
Monoprice, dude. The Monoprice, yeah, that action camera is surprisingly good.
They don't have the same FPS options, but
right. But I
Yeah.
mean, my Hero 3 Black does 4K at like 7 frames a second. Like, don't even advertise that it does 4K. That's useless. Like, what is this? A webcam from 1992? Like, come on, man.
Super slow mo, but the other
Fudge.
way around.
Budget
Budget
keyboard.
keyboards.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
We actually, you know what? You can talk about this because we actually recommended a few keyboards to some people in our coalition group. Rusty is one.
Well, we all settled on the essentially like a good balance for everything was the Gigabyte keyboard that Rusty and Joey have.
The Gigabyte keyboard. It's funny because if you've watched any of Paul's hardware, since we recommended that keyboard, it's been like the leading ad, like put in his videos. Like he actually has like the stock footage because you know he's got a little bit of a kickback from Gigabyte, and I think that's cool for him. He's not his ads are short, yeah, but that's the keyboard he talks about in every single one.
Yeah, I think Amazon does have a GoPro for cheap.
They do.
Variation of it. Yeah,
And that's the other thing. If you don't have Amazon Prime, still check Amazon for like video and camera related stuff because a lot of these like retailers will do bundles. So it comes with extra batteries, a carrying case, for the GoPros, a bunch of different mounts that aren't included, and it'll only be like $15 more. It's like, dude, why not?
Yeah, there are bundles that have been for this camera. And the bundles have actually included a second lens as well as a bag and all that. And at $600 with the bundle and extra lens, that makes it a little more reasonable.
So for budget keyboard, Gigabyte, really good gift. What do those go for? Those go for
$75, $80.
Oh, I lost you on focus like completely. Your camera like freaked out. You look all.
Is it better now?
No, you look look all soft focusy. There you go.
Interesting. Okay.
So
yeah, what was it, Rusty? Was it $75, $80 for that keyboard?
Amazon has their basics. I think it's Amazon Basics action camera. I think.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was the camera that's on.
It might be.
No, it's like starts with M. It's in that Armora off to the side of him.
Let's check it very quickly. We're gonna be the smart consumers here for you, so you don't have to do this. Let me see here. Action camera. Here's one that actually is their bestseller. It's called an Akaso. 4K Wi-Fi, 170-degree field of view, basically same thing as a GoPro. $84.
Yeah,
$84. That's
and
not
in
bad.
that range was the keyboard that we were talking about, that Gigabyte for $80.
Binwo, is that the one you were thinking of? $70.
No, okay, something land. Anyways,
Okay.
but yeah.
I think if you don't want to go on a budget keyboard though, and you still want to get like a nice keyboard, Torley in the chat said it. Corsair. I'm a Corsair fanboy. I think that their keyboards are better for the dollar than you're going to get with your Razer stuff. The Razer software is absolutely garbage.
Oh, I would never. Oh, Razer.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I know that my brother-in-law's got Razer. I had a Razer for a long time, so I know how bad the software is. He says it's gotten better, but it's like it's gotten better from what? You no longer have diarrhea and you're peeing out your butt to where you have like just the shits every 10 minutes.
Even Joseph is over Razer.
The biggest thing is you don't
Camilla
need to
has
go
a
big.
Razer mouse. How's that treating you?
Yeah, Camilla, how's that Razer mouse treating you?
Hey, can you hear any background noise in my mic right now? My
Not
brother
at
just
all.
turned the TV on. Okay, cool.
Not at all.
He'll respond at some point. Anyways, though, so yeah, I mean, Razer could be fine if you get a right deal and a good price and whatever like that, and then it's still good versus like crappy old Dynex keyboard. Sure, anything's an improvement, even though that wasn't a bad keyboard when I had it.
Whoa.
I used it for years. I'm just saying, like,
I was
aesthetically.
going to say, I still have a Dynex keyboard that I use for doing tech work. I also have the best keyboard, though, cheap as hell, but the best keyboard I've ever used that just keeps taking a beating, the Dell included keyboards. For their systems.
Yeah.
Dude, those things are...
Yeah.
God.
I have one that I posted my rigs video of my setup in the Tech City forums. And there's a guy there that said, that's a beautiful keyboard at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. No, not the one on the desk, the one behind the monitor.
Camilla finally chimed in. Razer software is still broken as hell.
No, his mouse is broken as hell, not the software.
Okay, well, you wanted a Razer, let's be honest, if anyone's reading the comments. He wanted a Razer because of the green.
Yeah?
But a full RGB keyboard. The Gigabyte, by the way, for what was it, $50? $54? It's RGB, right?
Which one?
The Gigabyte keyboard that Joey...
$80.
$80. $80, it's full RGB, and it competes with like a K95. from
It's yeah,
Corsair,
this is
which
the
is
best value for the money. I mean, you can go lower than $80 for a mechanical keyboard, but you're not going to have as much color choices with it, and
right.
or it'll all be multiple colors, even though it says RGB. Technically, it's true, but you won't be able to adjust them, and that's fine if you're cool with that. But if you want solid colors, solid colors, adjustability, good price, mechanical, then that $80 one is probably the best one you can go with.
Right, and I think at $80, those are actually Cherry MX switches, or if they're not, they're damn good knockoffs.
Yeah, like I was saying about that old keyboard though, it's my old one. It's a Gateway 2000 PS2 keyboard. It's tough as heck, and I only keep it because sometimes PS2 USB doesn't always work, and I have to use a PS2 keyboard.
You don't use the adapter,
No, it's just I don't want to rely on that adapter either.
so
I
you
have
don't
that.
want to take a PS2 or a serial into a PS2 into a USB to get a flash drive to read. You don't want to do that.
No,
Oh, come on.
I love adapting things and making things work when they're not supposed to, but when it comes to fixing something, I just want to fix it, and that's what it's there for.
See, I use that little wireless keyboard, that pocket keyboard. If I just want it to work, that thing is Bluetooth, but it freaking or not Bluetooth.
Well, I mean, like for BIOS, like if I need to go into
yeah.
BIOS, I've encountered a few issues where USB doesn't respond to it, but PS2 does.
This is also a good gift idea for the techie. It's this guy.
You say that, but in the video I'm watching on delayed, you had nothing in your hands. You're just holding up nothing like
Well,
this.
that's because our audio is in real time, but by the time it hits the stream, yeah, it's the
we get it. What was it?
it's a wireless keyboard, but it's a little pocket one. It has a little laser pointer on it. So yeah, it's it's I carry that at work because sometimes I'll come across machines that I just can't get in the BIOS because for whatever reason it doesn't work. Like the USB doesn't recognize that keyboard to get into BIOS. This thing always works, and I think these keyboards are like, if you just search for like pocket keyboard on Amazon, they're like $15 or $20. They're rechargeable.
What's funny is
they're
I have one in a beta. I participated in a beta test where they sent me a remote for a box, and you plug this USB device into the box, and then the remote works as a pointer like a Wii, but it also has normal remote functions, but you flip it over and it has a keyboard.
Right.
And then out of just curiosity, I plugged it into my computer, and I was able to control the mouse with it by moving it around like a Wii, and all the functions from the remote worked. I could use it as a keyboard, and I keep it up with my mini computer in the living room. Haven't really needed it, but it would work as like a multimedia center remote.
Yep.
That's actually something I can carry with me as well.
See, and that's a good gift because it's cheap. It's a good stocking stuffer. I really like that thing, and it has its own little included USB adapter that hides in the top, so it's super nice and easy to just pull it out and don't forget it when you're all done and just put it right back in. There's an on-off switch, and the coolest thing, in my opinion, is it actually is backlit.
Oh,
so if you're out and about and you're doing your thing and doing your work, yeah, it is backlit. Let me turn the backlighting on. It's very hard to see, but that is in fact backlit. So it's super cool that it has that functionality. So if you're looking for like a small keyboard for maybe a multimedia computer, it has a trackpad on it and everything. It's perfect. And it's way cheaper than the Logitech option because Logitech makes a 10 keyless keyboard with the trackpad on the side. I think they start at like $75. So that's not a bad gift idea. What else you got for gift ideas?
I was actually going to say a smartwatch, and I was going to suggest the one that I use, but I can't find it for the price that I found it. It's the Sony Smartwatch 2, which is a few generations old, as you can see here. It's inverted, I guess, whatever.
It's 813.
But yeah, but mine was the all metal one, and it's compatible with any Android device. I'm not sure about iPhone compatibility, but I think it is.
Now I know the LG.
If you can find the smartwatch, the Sony S Smartwatch 2, in a good price, under $80, for example, definitely go for that because it uses its own operating system, so it just works. There's none of this Android Wear connection bullcrap. The battery lasts forever. It has a transflective LCD, so you can look at it with the screen off, and you can even see it in ambient light, even outside. If you can just aim it off of a street light, you can see it at night.
That's legit.
Yeah,
I really like that. That's
transflective. Sony is moving forward with it though. Like the Smartwatch 3 that did come out, that also has transflective. So transflective, in my opinion, that's the way you want to go with an LCD on a smartwatch.
Is it basically like a TFT panel, but like a Nook style panel or e-reader style panel on top of a backlit substrate?
not an e-reader style panel, just but more just like it's an LCD panel. Just where it is in the substrate, I guess, is it reflects light into the LCD.
Yep. So we have Torley brought up a topic, and TZ Gaming also brought up a topic. Torley said Space Pen is a good Christmas gift. I completely agree. I actually have a few of these that I've made. I think Torley was actually here when I was building these, but these are basically Zebra F701 pens that I've modified to have a brass knock on the back, but they use a Space Pen insert. I swear by the Space Pen inserts. You can buy the not this pen, but you can buy a Space Pen already done. They're killer, dude. They'll write anywhere. So if you have someone that maybe isn't even a full-blown techie, that's a cool gift that'll apply to people who are like knife people, gun people, outdoors people, workers, blue-collar people, and tech people. It's a gift. It's like, dude, this pen will write anywhere. Underwater, freezing cold, this thing will just keep working because it's a pressurized pen insert. I think that's a really good idea.
That's
Charlie.
cool.
I think a Space Pen's a good idea.
So to respond, my response for Zalman would be phones. Probably the top one on my list is a Samsung Galaxy J3. It's like a budget Galaxy phone, but it does have really good specs. Let me pull that up. I believe it's a quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM, and a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which is what like previous flagship phones were, and you can get this for 150 to 200 bucks.
Yeah, I think that's a good gift idea. I mean, I'm a big Apple person for technology, so that's one thing.
It's kind of hard to gift an Apple phone. You just have to
tech talk right now. What's up? Did you need something?
But yeah,
okay.
Let's see.
I'll check it out
Phone specifications. Let me pull that up. It was released a year ago, but I mean, and we didn't get it in these states for a little while. It's an Exynos quad core. What's the heck? Asahi Dragon Trail Glass on there. Their competitor to Gorilla Glass. It looks like it can take a micro SD card. Yeah, it's a pretty good little phone for the price.
Did we talk about the Pixel in the last Tech Talk?
No, I think we talked about like upcoming stuff with the Pixel, but the Pixel hadn't really come out yet.
So we'll add that as a little caveat here. The Pixel, dude, no SD card slot, no waterproofing. What the hell? I know that the photo backup stuff's unlimited, but Jesus Christ, really?
Oh, LG K10 specs. Let me see here.
LG K10, the LG K10 would be my vote.
Yeah, I don't know. Pixel just it's good and it's bad.
That's the shortest too long to read. It's good and it's bad. Why?
Really?
It's good and it's bad, dude. That's all you need to know.
Everything that you want to like in a smartphone, it has. But the things that you don't like, it also has those.
It's true. It's true. I think I think
the K10 only has 1 gig of RAM.
But it's cheap.
Or there's a 1.5 gig RAM model.
Ooh.
I guess. I mean, it's not bad, but
vapes for gifts. That's a loaded question. If people got me vape shit, I'd be like, okay, sweet. For your average person though, I don't want to recommend something that people might, if they have an addictive personality, might be like, I gotta have my vape. Oh my god, I'm out of juice. And you just create a fucking like an addict. A person who has an addictive personality who potentially just couldn't stop vaping if they really wanted to, and that's a scary thing. So,
gift card,
gift card, Amazon gift card, all day.
If you think somebody might like a vape, get them an Amazon gift card or a Visa gift card.
Well, Amazon doesn't do any
like,
vape
here we
shit.
go.
Amazon doesn't sell any vape shit anymore. So, they sell cotton and wire and shit like that, but they don't sell any vape stuff. So,
right.
I really think that that's kind of a good idea. Oh, also a remote, an actual gamepad. People say, "Oh, if you're a PC gamer, you don't want a game on a gamepad." For racing games, even for Gears,
they're still useful. I got mine right here.
Exactly. For $50, I think is what the going price is for the Xbox One PC one. You can get that thing, and it's a good gift. It's a real good gift.
Xbox 360 one, if you can find it cheaper, or whatever.
Yep. I think those are all pretty good gift ideas right there.
Did you check out your Hangouts real quick?
I did. It went off, so everybody heard it because I didn't mute you because I didn't expect you to mute.
No, I think your microphone suppression killed it because I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it in the stream?
No, and it shows you didn't see it either.
No, I saw. It's on my desktop, so it came up and I closed it.
Oh, okay, sure. Anyways, yeah. So let's see. I don't know anything about fishing poles, so
fishing poles. The Bass Pro Shop gift pack.
I know Right, there you go. I mean, the fishing pole that I know would be like the one for the Dreamcast for Sega Bass Pro Fishing.
What was that handheld game back in the day? You remember that game that everybody had?
The handheld one?
Yeah, it was a handheld thing that was like a fishing and a lure, and it had like the fish in the depth, and it would like vibrate when you were gonna go, when you were gonna catch a fish.
For the Dreamcast?
No. There was actually like a handheld version of that game, or a game very similar to it.
It sounds familiar, but I can't think of it.
Well, shame on you. You can't buy handheld games are pretty much dead. But yeah, I mean,
NES Classic.
Pokemon Sun and Moon. I'll say it. Pokemon Sun and Moon.
There you go. And my vote goes to NES Classic. I mean, you can set up an emulator, and people will be like, "Oh, I could just do that on my computer." Sure thing, but you know what? It's not as simple as just plugging an NES Classic in and playing.
Yep. Well, we should do a too long don't read for people who just want to get to the very nitty gritty of the Zen topic.
Yep. All right. We're summing it up, guys, and I'll let Briggs start off with that.
All right. Zen announced today. Seems like it's
not Zen
or Ryzen. Excuse me.
Ryzen in this case.
Ryzen was announced today.
Mm-hmm.
Seems legit. No price and no hard date on release. Lower wattage, about the same render times, and comparable overall performance to a turbo boosted 6900K. If it comes in at a reasonable price, I think it's going to be a killer processor that'll really shake the rust off of Intel and maybe break them out of their price gouging plan that they have going on.
It'll be good for that whole family.
Yeah, I really think that that's going to be the biggest thing for AMD. I really think that this is the big thing.
Right, 'cause we can talk about all the little things that are making it great, but in the end, if it's good and it's fast and it's cheap, that's all you need to know.
Yep. I think we're going to start doing tech talks on a more regular basis, even if it's just an hour just to shoot the shit and talk about tech. I think people would enjoy it. So
yeah,
I think that's about pretty much it for tonight.
That covers that covered Ryzen. If you stick around a little bit, you hear us talk a little bit more about Vega. And then we also talk about Christmas gift ideas for the techie in your family.
Christmas gift ideas are about at the 55-minute mark.
Right, and that's Christmas gift ideas for the techie, but there's a little bit of camera talk in there too, and sometimes those fields overlap, sometimes they don't. Either way, give it a listen.
A multi-tool. Good Christmas gift.
Yeah. Yes. So that's kind of a universal one, right?
That's a universal one. You don't even need to be a techie. Everybody loves a good multi-tool. Even like a cheapy Gerber, or like a Snap-on or Craftsman, like just the holiday bundles they have at Lowe's. It's a good gift.
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight. Oh yeah, dude. Their warranty, like they don't even give a shit. You can just break something or return and be like, "Oh, it broke. Here you go."
for the gift exchange in your family.
There you go. There you go. Jopie agrees. Keep doing these. All right, Jopie. Well, I think we'll start shooting to maybe do them on Tuesdays if that works for us. But we'll discuss it and we'll figure it out and we'll try to do it on a weekly basis.
Cool.
All right, man. This is Chris from Homebrewedhero.
This is Chris with Coalition Gaming.
And we'll see you guys in a week.
Peace out, everybody.